Hello, family Earth Angels. I am Jade from Earth Angel Frequencies, and we are going to dive into how I manifested my dream life in Bali, including my job, my home, and even just getting over there. It has been, or it was, a super aligned divine unfoldment of everything. And I'm obviously not there right now. I'm here in Toronto, but I'm excited to share the story with you. And I was living over there for almost a year as a full-time sound healer and yoga instructor. And it was really magical as well as super challenging, I will say, emotionally. But we'll dive into all of that because it's not just all rainbows and butterflies living in paradise, as we all know. And yeah, I'll explain to you how I manifested it, including the techniques, and everything that unfolded for me was perfect. So we're going to dive into that and let us begin. Okay, so how I chose Bali is I've never been there before, but a lot of people have told me that I would do well over there, that it's like perfect for someone like me, aka a hippie sound healer, yoga instructor. So I was living in a yoga house here in Toronto, which was a yoga studio on the bottom, and then myself and a few other women lived on top of the yoga studio, and we were running events and all of this. And one of my roommates, Meg, so much love for her, she actually wanted to go back to Bali, and she was talking so highly about it that she loved it. She wanted to move there, and I was like, fuck it, like I'll join you. So that's how I stumbled upon Bali. And honestly, Australia was my dream. So I kind of thought like Australia, Bali. And I just kind of knew that I would find my way to Australia through Bali. So, which actually happened. So I chose Bali to go with her. And that seemed like an easy decision. I didn't know anything about it, thought it was cool. Why not explore? So, long story short, she ended up going to Mexico and really loving it. Well, we all went to Mexico to host a retreat together. She ended up really loving it there and staying. And I've already lived in Mexico. So I just decided to move to Bali by myself. And she moved to Mexico and loved it and enjoyed that. And I just thought, you know what, I'll just go by myself. And I felt like it was really divine because looking back on it now, it would have been a completely different experience if I moved with her in comparison to me solo traveling to Bali and living there by myself. So I'm really grateful that it happened in that way because it taught me so much to be alone, and I really think I needed to be alone in those moments and in that time. So anyways, that's how I stumbled upon Bali. It was kind of just brought to me, and I was like, sure, yes. So this was all decided kind of a few months prior to me moving. And randomly, I was just kind of getting involved in the life of Bali and like Googling it and, Instagramming it and finding all these things. And I stumbled upon a place in Uluwatu that had a sound dome and a yoga studio. And I was like, okay, this is where I want to be. And I knew nothing about Bali. Once again, never been there, and everyone told me like, you have to go to Ubud, you have to stay in Ubud. But I just felt really called to Uluwatu, and I saw the sound dome. I mean, it's called The Space in Bali, and it has a sound dome. So I said to myself, you know what? I'm just gonna move to Uluwatu and become the sound healer over there and teach yoga. That feels good to me. And everyone was kind of saying like, Uluwatu's so expensive. It's so hard to find a place. Blah blah blah. It's so small. And I was like, you know what? I just feel like that's where I'm gonna end up. So this was about like 4 months prior to me moving to Bali that I was visualizing my life there and like seeing what it would be like and what I wanted. And so number one was to become a sound healer at the space in Bali, Uluwatu. And number two manifestation was to have a 2-bedroom home that I wanted, one for guiding events or guiding people through journeys, and the other one for my living. So those were the two kind of manifestations that I was holding on to when I was moving over there. And I was just living my life here in Toronto, just hosting events, and I ended up posting just a story about my sound healing. And someone responded to my story, someone I didn't know of. And they said like, hey, really love your sound healing. Like, are you moving to Bali anytime soon? And I was like, what the heck? This is so random. And I was like, message them, I'm like, yeah, I'm actually moving in like, I'm planning on moving there in like 4 months. And this person ended up, who was my friend, ended up being a sound healer at the space in Bali in the Sound Dome. Basically, this individual was such an angel in my life. He basically said to me, like, he literally said to me, you just met an angel who's going to help you move there. It would be amazing to have another sound healer on this island, and I work at the space, so I can get you a job here once you come. So obviously I was very stoked as that alignment. And we actually jumped on a call, and this individual was also keen on hypnosis. So we were doing visualizations, and he was guiding me through visualizations of my life in Bali and the ocean and seeing the ocean and doing sound healings and yoga and all of these things. So I was just fully immersed in visualizations in Bali for months prior to me even moving there. And again, like, I didn't know what it looked like. So I just started getting this inspiration through Pinterest, through life. I started following people that were living in Bali and just kind of getting a feel for everything, especially Uluwatu and the space. So I would visualize myself moving over there, being so excited to land, just being so stoked to like see the ocean and just be like, yes, I did it. I remember just like tapping into that feeling of being like, I did it. I moved across the world by myself to a place that I want to move to, and I left Toronto behind, you know? And I guess it's for context where I was in my mental state was that I was pretty done. I needed a break. I really was going through a lot in my healing journey. And I mean, the big joke about Bali is that you're either escaping something, you're escaping your life, you're going to heal, or you just broke up with someone. That's like the joke in Bali. So, I mean, all of those were true. So that's why it was really powerful for me to go there. But anyways, circling back, I was visualizing a lot. So the techniques that I was using was literally sitting in meditation and visualizing myself going to the ocean, being near the cliffside, like going around and just saying to myself, like, I live here, I live here, I live here. And I did it. And I'm so happy with seeing the ocean and being on a scooter and just interacting with people and, you know, just being the sound healer of Bali and in Bali. And that was just so cool to me that I was so wrapped up in the emotions of and the feelings of what this would feel like for me in my reality, that it was so positively charged and just such a deep, I remember just like in these visualizations that my friend was walking me through, just being like so happy, like so ecstatic to have this come to life, that I was so dedicated to this vision and commitment that I knew it was going to happen. I knew I was going to go there, and I knew that it was going to be incredibly divine. So yeah, all of that is to say that the techniques that I was using was deep visualization, and I luckily had someone who was literally guiding me through them. But on my own time, I was already guiding meditations, yoga, sound healings. All my events were in breath work, and I was really involved and dedicated, devoted to meditation practice. So during these meditations, I was visualizing myself in Bali all of the time. And I visualized myself coming across a 2-person house, like a 2-bedroom house. I visualized all of this, all of the details that I wanted. And yes, all of this did come true. So I then had someone who was helping me get over to Bali, just from the purity of their heart that they wanted. They've lived there for 10 years and they just wanted to help me get over there. So it was a very smooth process for me. And it did take me the 4 months to get over there. So I moved over there in October 3rd. I can't even remember the years. I've already been so bad on the years. October 3rd, 2023. 2022. 2023. I don't know. One of those years, 2020. I'll go back in my in my world of memories and see. I'm like disconnected from time. Anyways, it was one of those years, October. And I remember moving over there, and I did end up going to Ubud because everyone told me that that's where I should be. And again, I knew nothing about it, so I trusted that. And I remember my friend picked me up from the airport, and we went straight to the beach in Uluwatu and went to this like, secret little surfer's paradise. And I remember just crying. I remember just being like, the moment that you manifest something and it comes into fruition, it's like the most beautiful experience of those emotions flooding through that you visualized for months and months and months. It just aligned. And I remember seeing the sunset. I was there just dancing on the side of this like mossy place, and the waves were hitting, and it was like the most beautiful, beautiful day. And I remember just saying to myself, like, no, I'm staying in Uluwatu. I don't even care what Ulu looks like. I'm staying in Ulu. This is where I belong. And I ended up having a Airbnb rented in Ubud. So I thought to myself, like, I'll stay a few days in Uluwatu with my friend, and I'm going to go check out Ubud and just see. I went to Ubud, long story short, was not meant for me. Cool place, but just not, I like to be by the ocean. So I ended up going back to Uluwatu, and I was staying in a homestead. And this is where the manifestation of my house came in. So I was at this place called the Astana, which is a sauna and cold plunge place, and super cool. And I was just chilling over there at a session, and I was just talking to people, getting to know people, and just hanging out. And I was saying, like, yeah, I really want to move to Uluwatu, and I'm looking for a home. And one of the guys there says, oh, I know a girl who is about to rent out her place. She hasn't even posted it yet. Maybe you can go check it out. And I was like, absolutely, sure. Little did I know, I show up to this place. It is a 2-bedroom place with an outdoor kitchen, 2 separate, one for a bedroom and one just like space that was just open. An outdoor kitchen. I had papaya trees and just like herbs, and so cool. And I remember showing up, and she goes to me, for those of you who know me, you'll know how big this hits. She goes to me, I hope you don't mind that we have cows on the property. I was like, take my money. Take it. Cows? Why didn't you start with that? Cows are my favorite. So little did I know that it would be than what I imagined it to be, because I not only had 2 bedrooms, or like 2 spaces, and a kitchen and cows on my property. I was like, this is incredible. So it was amazing. And this was all within literally like 2 weeks that this happened. So I now moved from Ubud to Uluwatu. I now have a home, and now all I need is a job. And I invested in a working visa over there. So I was set up because I was very committed to moving there and not coming back. That was my intention. So anyways, my friend Nick is like, he was did didgeridoo and sound healings over there. And he was like, all right, I talked to the owners of the space, like, I could get you in, they want to meet you. I was like, perfect. I brought my bowls over there, my sound bowls, and I had a meeting with them. They were like super cool. We're friends to this day, just the coolest partnership. And I just said, like, yeah, I want to be the sound healer here. I teach yoga. I would love to run events. This is not, how about I just give you a 30-minute sound bath and you can see how it feels, and we'll see. I'm in this sound dome. The sound dome that I saw on Instagram, and said to myself, I want to be the sound healer there. So I'm in this sound dome giving this 30-minute session, and I was just living that moment. I was just like, wow, manifestation is real. Dreams are reality currently, right here, right now, and I did it. The emotions that I was feeling in those moments was just euphoria, to say the least, like ultimate, just so happy. And yeah, they loved it. And then literally 3 days later, I was on the schedule as the sound healer in the Sound Dome. And it just so turns out that my friend Nick ended up leaving the country, leaving to go back to Oz. So I then took over his role as the sound healer in the space. And that was all literally within 3 weeks of me moving to Bali. So for 4 months, I was visualizing this experience, moving there, becoming the sound healer and yoga instructor at this specific company, this business in Uluwatu, having a 2-bedroom home, and just living. And that is exactly what happened, all within 3 weeks. Now, I ended up staying at that home for, I think, probably a month. I stayed there at that 2-bedroom place because, no, I think maybe 2 months and a longer time. And then the woman ended up moving back. My other friend Nick was moving back, and he was taking my room. So I ended up just finding another place super easy that was now on a homestead, 5 bedrooms on one facility of just like land and us sharing the land but in separate rooms. And then I ended up moving down the street over there. So it was super easy in the sense of finding homes and manifesting those homes. I know that's not everyone's experiences. However, it was definitely mine, of the sense of finding that ease and breeze with manifesting everything there. And the thing about Bali is the energy of Bali, everyone says this, is that if you are meant to stay there, Bali will give you everything that you need to be there. And if you're not meant to be there, it will essentially ask you to leave. So I was just gifted everything there. And I'm saying this with the knowing that it was one of the more challenging, emotionally challenging years of my life because it was just a full purge of everything that I was running away from in Toronto was coming up for me in there. So I'm like grateful that Bali held me to go through all of those purging, unwiring, repatternings, understanding what is like beneath me that needed to actually be seen, felt, and heard, that I was ignoring here in Toronto, or just didn't even allow the space and time for it to move through me. Because again, I was in a very just dark and stormy place prior to me moving. So all of that got released in Bali. So I was constantly just doing inner work, just the work. Even though it was paradise and I had so many beautiful moments, it was also really challenging. But anyways, this is about manifestation. So yeah, it was insanely beautiful. And just to express the level of how sound healing went over there, for those of you who don't know, I am a sound healer, and Earth Angel Frequency is actually the name of my sound healing training and brand, and also sound bowl. So I love sound healing, and that time in Bali was the most expansive time for me to be a sound healer, because everyone there, that land, everyone was coming for purging, for healing. So people were so open. And the ceremonies that I was conducting, which was like 5 times a week, plus events on the weekend with other musicians and cacao, and it was so stunning. But anyways, the level of healing that was happening there was so profound that these sessions were so intense. People were crying all the time and screaming, laughing, just moving through all these somatic releases in the sound bath, and it was the most beautiful time. And the fact that we were in this sound dome, like this sound dome was made for sound. It was a concrete dome, no yoga mats, no nothing to absorb, just me and my bowls and all my instruments and people in this dome. It was so profound and so beautiful, and it taught me so much about holding space for trauma, holding space for emotions, holding space for individuals, and just the level of connection I felt with people there was beyond anything I've felt in being a sound healer. It was so, so deep and taught me so much in that year. So I just want to honor that year of being the sound healer over there, because it was so expansive and so beautiful, and I'm just so grateful. Yeah, it brought me so much purpose in my life and taught me so much about myself, about others, and about sound healing and how to hold space in ceremonies. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the story of how I manifested my home and manifested my job there in Bali. And yeah, I actually just worked at that one place the entire year. The space, it held me. The space held me for sure. And I was so, so grateful to be there. And the yoga classes were amazing. My sound healings were always waitlisted and sold out. And yeah, we had a really beautiful community over there that of individuals just looking to heal. So it was really great. And I mean, through my time there in Bali, I mentioned earlier that I was like so stuck on Australia. Australia's been a dream. And I just innately knew that once I get to Bali, I would somehow get to Australia. And I ended up living in Australia, not living, but staying in Australia for 2 months, I believe, and through Bali. So I met so many Australians in Bali and ended up staying for free in Australia through the people I met in Bali. So, I mean, you can call that a manifestation, absolutely, for sure. So, yeah, all to circle this all back, um, it was a really beautiful time. It was really challenging emotionally, but also so beautiful. And I just have vivid memories of me just like riding my scoot around with my bowls on my back and a flute strapped to me and a handpan and just like going to my classes to go sound heal and coming back. And yeah, it was so beautiful. I can talk so much more about Bali because it was such a beautiful experience. The culture is amazing. The people are the nicest. I felt so safe as a solo traveler and a woman, and just like in general, my nervous system was so, right when I landed, I was like, wow. And yeah, being there for their New Year's was probably the most beautiful experience that will be with me forever. And yeah, I'm just so grateful for that time. Bali, moving to Bali is not for the faint of hearts. If you want to do work and you want to heal and you want to purge and you want to go inwards, go to Bali. Go to Bali. I mean, you could just do that right here and now. You could just go inwards. But Bali is the purification center of the heart and I believe the throat. But it's definitely the purification center of the heart, and it is considered to be Mama Bali. They call it Mama Bali because it holds you as you are just straight up purging, and it will provide you with everything that you need if you are meant to be there, which is such a cool energetics of the world. And I have been offered to go to Bali before this. It's come up for me many times, and I remember telling my friend, one of my good friends moved there, and she was like, Jade, you gotta come out here. You gotta come out here. Like, you love it. And I just said to her, I'm not ready. I am not ready. Because I knew that it was going to be an emotional experience and a purge, but I was not ready at that time. So, yeah, that is the story of manifestation of life in Bali. And it was a really beautiful one. I'm so grateful for that time. And it feels like forever ago now. But that was 2 years ago that I landed back here. Almost 2 years ago that I landed back here in Toronto since living in Bali. So yeah, I can go pretty in depth about my life there, and anything that you're curious about, I'm happy to open up to and share. But as for, let's summarize how I manifested this was, number one, I got clear on what I wanted, which was moving to Bali, living in Uluwatu, having a 2-bedroom home, and working as a sound healer in that specific sound dome, in that specific space. Those were all my manifestations. And then I would visualize myself in them with full clarity. And whether that was my friend walking through the visualizations or myself diving into visualization when I was with myself and any chance that I got, I would just visualize myself. And not only that, I was talking about it 24/7. Like, I was communicating that I was moving there and moving to Uluwatu. Like, people would ask me, like, where are you moving? I'm like, Uluwatu. I was so set, like my conviction on these manifestations were so real. I wanted it to be like there's no other option for me. Like, I'm committed to my word, and my word is going to be the tie, the promise in the universe. We're co-creating. So if I'm certain, the universe is certain, and we're both certain on this is going to happen. So visualization visualizing me in these moments of just like being like, yes, in ultimate bliss at the ocean, just saying, yes, Jade, you did it, you made it, you moved, you're fearless, you're courageous, I love you. You know, I had those conversations with myself, and those moments legitimately happened when I was at the beach just vibing, just going like, I'm here, I did it, yes, you know. And also me visualizing me working at the Sound Dome, and that happened. So all of this is possible. And everything in manifestation, to simplify manifestation, it is a clear intention plus an energetic, a positive energetic charge that is charged with feelings like positivity, happiness, certainty, bliss, love, euphoria, joy, like all of those high vibe frequencies and feelings. You charge that visualization with it and you sit in it multiple times over and over again. I get a lot of questions about how often should I do the visualization? As often as you can, as often as you are willing to commit to it. Maybe even until it happens, right? There's really no rules as to the how long. However, I do believe that the more that you do it, the quicker it'll manifest for you. So as often as you can is the answer to that one. And yeah, and then you let it, you let the how and the when, you know, the how and all of the little intricacies of how it's going to manifest. How will I get that job? I don't know. I don't know how I'll get it. How will I get that home? I don't know. However, I trust that I will get it. So yeah, from the moment of me moving there to me having all those manifestations was a matter of 3 weeks. And that's pretty massive for me to move there by myself with only one connection of a human being. And yeah, moving across the world with no idea what I'm going to be doing or how I'm going to get all these things, but just trust. And the universe literally gifted me this angel as the form of my friend who set up everything for me to go there, and also was the connection between me finding that job. And I'm so blessed and so grateful. So yeah, you don't know how. The how turned out to be a person for me and multiple people for me. But you never know how it's gonna you know, how it's gonna be gifted to you. So yeah, that is the story of how I manifested my life in Bali. And of course, Bali is its own playground. Bali is its own world out there. So magical, so cool. But it was definitely an emotionally purifying way for me. I'm so grateful for it. So yeah, that is how I, not to mention, side note, when I lived in, or when I was traveling Australia, I was living in a van for a little bit of time, and that has always been a dream of mine. Like, always. I've traveled in vans multiple times around United States and around United States, like California, Colorado, and I've always had the dream of living in a van in Australia, and that one manifested in itself too, through the manifestation of Bali. All of it is so divine and so cool how it comes to play. So all you have to do is trust. Really trust that you're being supported. Really trust that the universe will provide. And really trust that all you have to do is visualize, charge that manifestation, and really be committed, devoted, and certainty that this is what is going to happen for you. Okay, if you have any questions, drop it in. Also, join myself and Steven's Muna's Magica community that we started, where we have beautiful resources, Dr. Joe meditations, live meditations, community across the world, and it's just growing and expanding, so we're really excited. Additionally, live meditation February 2nd. Please join us on Sunday, and you can find that on my profile. Okay, I'm so grateful, and thank you. Blessings.